There was certainly not amount of making McGran for the proud, and honouring him by taking Hall in the Woods has been so much his life's work. And I definitely fits. I have met about you probably see news about Lady Louise Windsor inheriting something from Queen Elizabeth with Camilla. His name mentioned, and the word erupts. You clicked on it, because the combinations are just something dramatic in the palace. Here's the truth. The real story I've researched is not about a loud argument. It's quieter, and more important, it involves a 22-year-old woman. Most people ignore a sealed will that can't be opened until 2112, and careful choices made by Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip about who they trusted with their belongings. When you understand what they gave Lady Louise and compare what she inherits to what Camilla children may get, you'll see real tension beneath the headline. It's the kind that shows up in a land registry document or a sealed courtroom, not and yelling, "Stay with me, I promise this is worth it." The will that nobody will ever read. Queen Elizabeth's sealed secret. Let's start with the key point that makes this story possible and also hard to report responsibly. Queen Elizabeth II died on September 8, 2022 at the age of 96. She was queen for 70 years and had a personal fortune estimated by Forbes at about $500 million, which includes her private states, jewelry, art, investments, and horses. When someone wealthy and important dies, they usually have a will, and some details eventually become public. This is not the case with the royal family. Royal will remain private. The details of what happens to the Queen's health after her death will stay a secret, as Laura Clancy, a media lecturer at Lancaster University, noted. Royal wills are hidden, so we have no idea what's in them or how much they are worth. The High Court of England and Wales seals royal wills for legal reasons. Queen Elizabeth's will is sealed for at least 90 years, meaning no one can open it until at least 2011. To most of us, we'll never know its contents in our lifetimes. Experts believe that most of the Queen's personal property, including Sandringham and Balmoral, went to Charles I. Royal historians said everything will be left to Charles, all of it. This is partly due to inheritance tax rules. When wealth passes from one sovereign to another in the UK, it is not taxed, thereby preserving its full value. Charles inherited the main estates, and this is clear and documented. However, Queen Elizabeth had 8 grandchildren. She shared many experiences with them over the years. For example, she had a granddaughter who enjoyed carriage driving and would spend summer afternoons looking at Queen Victoria's private sketches. Her sealed will could legally include provisions for any of her grandchildren. The question of what is in that sealed document creates intrigue. The known facts about the Queen's gifts, the time she spent with her grandchildren, and the moments they shared tell a story that has more interesting than any argument in a drawing room. Philip's extraordinary gift, the inheritance that started everything. Let's discuss some significant facts about the royal family. When Prince Philip passed away in April 2021, he left important items to his granddaughter Lady Louise Windsor. According to the Daily Mail, he gave her his carriage and two cherished fell ponies named Balmoral Nevis and Not Law Storm. He also gifted her his 4-wheeled carriage, the same one used at his funeral. Philip often used this carriage at Windsor Castle. Some see his choice to give these items to Lady Louise as a way to support her passion for carriage driving. It's worth noting that he chose to leave these items to a 17-year-old girl who's shared his interests instead of to his sons or other grandchildren who might one day be king and queen. Lady Louise was one of the family members he felt most at ease with. Prince Philip was known for being precise and not sentimental, and expressing his love when he gave items away. It was meant to send a message. In 2022, Lady Louise drove one of his carriages in front of Queen Elizabeth at the Royal Windsor Horror Show, one of the Queen's last public appearances before she died in September. It was a meaningful moment at this event. Just months before her death, the Queen proudly watched Lady Louise lead the Fell Pony Society Centenary Parade. She drove the carriages that belonged to her late grandfather. This show had special significance, as it was part of the Platinum Jubilee celebrations, and the Queen was visibly touched. Imagine that moment. A grandmother in her final months watching her granddaughter drive her late husband's carriage, the very same one that carried his cap and gloves at his funeral. Just a year prior, Prince Philip chose Lady Louise to carry on his legacy, and the Queen witnessed it one last time. Queen's favourite grandchild, the bond nobody fully understood. Philip's gift was important, but the bond between Queen Elizabeth and Louise had caught the attention of royal watchers for years. Even before talks of inheritance began, a royal insider told The Sun in 2019 that the Queen enjoys Louise and James' time at Balmoral and has grown close to Louise, who seems to be her favourite grandchild, followed closely by James. While many claims about favourite search the late and royal news, this one feels credible because of the details that follow. The insider said the Queen let Louise explore some of Queen Victoria's sketches of the Highlands, which are usually kept at Balmoral, and rarely seen. This was not a public tour or a formal family gathering. The Queen chose to share a private collection of historical items she seldom shows others, suggesting a stir wrong trust and enjoyment of Louise as company. Many people who know Louise outside her royal identity describe her personality in ways that explain why the Queen feels this connection. Carriage driving trainer Sarah Howe, who competes with Louise, told Hello that you would not know who she was. She is simply Louise. She also noted that Louise works harder, deals with problems as they come without any fuss. Lady Louise Windsor has never tried to be the most seen member of the royal family, and this might be her greatest strength as the monarchy faces challenges. Her quiet and humble attitude could be just what the public needs to see. Louise chose not to be styled as a princess. When she turned 18, she worked at a guard and centre during her summer breaks and competes in carriage driving events where she prefers not to be recognized. When she goes to Balmoral, she brings a book and walking shoes. The Queen noticed all of this and responded in a way that mattered to her by sharing access to her private treasures, what the sealed will almost certainly contained, and why Balmoral matters. Let's discuss the important details. This is where the story gets fascinating from a legal and historical perspective. And I want to be clear about what's confirmed and what's likely. Unlike royal palaces like Buckingham Palace, Holyrood Palace and Windsor Castle, Sandringham and Balmoral Castle, all personally owned by the monarch. After Queen Elizabeth II died in 2020, to Sandringham went to King Charles III. Elizabeth II inherited Balmoral from her father. After her death, ownership passed to her eldest son, King Charles III, but the trustees manage it under special agreements, so both Sandringham and Balmoral are now owned by Charles, which is clear and documented. Here's an important legal point that many reports overlook. Balmoral is not just one building, it is a massive estate covering 53,680 acres and contains about 150 structures, including lodges, cottages, farm buildings, and private homes used by the royal family for generations. We have proof that individual structures on the Balmoral estate can be privately gifted separate from the main estate inheritance. For example, Tammany Gara, 3-bedroom cottage on the Balmoral estate, was given from Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, directly to Prince William. This shows that a Balmoral cottage can be passed from one person to another as a personal gift separate from the main estate. If the Queen Mother could leave town Nygard to William, then Queen Elizabeth could have legally left any building on the Balmoral estate to anyone she wished, including a granddaughter who spent summers looking through Queen Victoria's private sketches. I want to emphasize that the specific claim that Louise received a Balmoral cottage is being shared in royal news outlets, but has not been confirmed by reliable journalism. The will is sealed, so no one outside the family can confirm its contents. However, the process for gifting structures is real, and the precedent exists. The family relationships that would support such a decision are real as well. Where Camilla family fits and what they stand to gain or lose. Let's talk about Camilla family. This is important because it shapes their relationship with the royal family. First, let's state the facts. Camilla children Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes from her first marriage do not have a place in the royal succession. They don't hold royal titles, and they can't inherit any royal property or money. That is simply true and not up for debate. What Tom and Laura do have is their mother, as Queen Camilla has access to a special world that her children can only glimpse, such as state events and royal residences. However, just having access is not the same as ownership in a family with strict rules about inheritance. This difference is very important. Here's what's been confirmed and is significant. Camilla recently transferred her private home Ray House and Welcher to her children after her marriage to Andrew Parker Bowles ended in 1994. Camilla bought this property. Now, according to official documents, the house is owned by her son-in-law Harry Lopes and by financier Jake Irwin, representing her daughter Laura and her son Tom, respective. Billy Ray Millhouse is meaningful to Camilla. Children Laura and her husband held their wedding reception there in 2006. Camilla even called it the best therapy in the world at the Sandringham Flower Show in 2025. Why does this matter? It shows how Camilla is thinking about the future. She is 77 years old and married to a man who was also 77 and dealing with cancer. When Charles passes away, her children will lose their formal ties to royal life. They won't get royal titles or live in royal homes. They will become the ex-stepchildren of a deceased king. So Camilla is making sure her children have something of value, her private property, while she can. This is not rash, it is care planning. It does highlight the difference between what Camilla family can secure and what blood relatives like Louise will inherit. Louise's quietly growing royal significance. The unsung hero Lady Louise Windsor is currently at an interesting point in her life. She is part of a bigger story that has been unfolding over the last few years. Lady Louise Alice Elizabeth Mary Mountbatten Windsor was born on November 8, 2003. As of 2026, she is 17th in line for the throne. She started studying English at the University of St Andrews in September 2022. Since undergraduate programs in Scotland usually last 4 years, she is set to graduate in the summer of 2026 and 2024. Louise joined the British Army's University Officers Training Corps Thai 4th UOTC. As of 2025, she is an officer cadet in the Army Reserve. She's graduating this summer, is in the Army Reserve and competes in carriage driving. She took part in the Sandringham horse driving trials on June 27 to 28, 2025, where she finished second in the novice pony category. Louise has a boyfriend named Felix D. Silverclamp, who was described as lovely and very supportive. He cheers her on, but also gives her space to focus on her goals. This does not sound like someone who is trying to build a royal image. Instead, it seems like she is focused on creating her own life. Despite this, there is a growing interest in Lady Louise potentially becoming a full-time working royal. When William becomes king, one journalist mentioned her as a possible unsung hero who could help improve the royal family's image. However, they also noted that she would be mad to give up her poor arrive at life right now. She has everything. This creates a conflict for her. Everything she has inherited from her grandparents, like the carriage reputation, trust, and peaceful summers at Balmoral, has prepared her for an important royal role. Yet her personality shows she did not do any of it. For that reason, this is the kind of person who is ideal for a significant role. What all of this means: legacy, trust, and the monarchy's future. Let me conclude with what I believe this story is truly about. It's not just about property or the conflict between Camilla family and the Windsors. It's about the meaning of inheritance for people like Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. Philip chose to leave his care, Raj and ponies to Louise, not to the future king. He made this choice for a teenager who shared his passion for carriage driving and captivated everyone when she competed. This decision shows what Philip valued and who he thought was a worthy keeper of something he loved. Queen Elizabeth spent her last summer watching Louise drive that carriage in front of crowds. She opened her collections to Louise and reportedly considered her a favorite. The Queen had the power to make her own will, and whatever she included was done with intention. Royal wealth is organized to protect the monarchy as an institution, and official government memo states that the monarchy as an institution needs enough private resources to continue its traditional role and national life. But beyond these rules, there are personal choices. The Queen Mother left her cottage to William and Philip left his carriage to Louise. These choices came from people who looked at the younger generation and decided, I trust you with this type of inheritance. The inheritance of trust can't be transferred by documents or claimed by just being close to the throne. It can't be obtained by anyone who doesn't earn it, like Louise did by showing up every summer with a book and walking shoes and truly loving the place for what it is. Whether Louise decides to follow a royal path or keep a quiet private life, she already carries something that many in that family never receive: the trust of two of the most private people who ever held the British crown. What she does with that is up to her.